this is Steve Garcia with 620 Studio. One of the questions we get most often is how to set up your webmail or the email going through our server on like Outlook, Apple Mail, your iPhone or Android device. Then there's always settings that need to be set for you to be able to connect to the server and be able to send and receive and just basically read your emails. So we wanted to set up a quick tutorial on being able to access the settings for you to be able to do this. Now there's quite a few different systems out there, whether it be Outlook and let's say like your iPhone. So each one looks a little different. However, the settings are going to be pretty much the same. You're going to be entering in your email address, your password. And there's going to be some additional settings like host name and those type of things. And this is where this video should be able to help you in an aspect. If you have an email address running through our server, you have access to webmail, which is basically being able to check your email using a web browser. And so not only does that be able to allow you to be able to check your email or anything from away from your computer, or let's say away from your device, it does give you some additional settings like where to be able to set up and be able to configure your mail client that you want to go and set up on like Outlook. So those settings are readily available to you, and they're actually very easy to get to. It's just a matter of being able to get to the screen. And so as long as you have your email address and your password, then you can access it anytime as long as you have a web browser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring us up to the webmail for our server. I'm going to use our domain as an example, 620studio.com. You will use your own domain. Whatever your domain is, it'll be whatever yourdomain.com, and then you'll put /webmail, and that will take you to the webmail portal. Here's where you'll put your email address in and your password. And once you set those once you put that password in there, it's going to take you up to an initial screen. What you'll see is Brown Cube, which is the web application that allows you to be able to check your emails using the webmail system. But then you also have these abilities down here, these additional configuration scripts. These are going to be where you're going to want to be able to use these settings to be able to access Outlook, and your mail apps basically. That has the ability to be able to do automatic configurations up here. However, I usually tend to prefer the actual manual setting. That way you have the most control over the individual servers, the ports, those type of thing. And especially now and then in the future, we found that if you use any of these applications like the protocols to be able to just kind of download and stick them in, it's actually a little bit more difficult to be able to update. Now you can be updated, however, it kind of locks things down, specifically with an iPhone, we realized just recently. So under these mail client manual settings, this is where you'll have your username, your password, incoming server, outgoing server, those type of things. This is going to be the settings that you're going to be using specifically for your phone or your device or Outlook. So the username is always going to be your full email address. Your password is going to be your password. Whenever you set up your account, it's going to look for these two things. You're going to make sure that those are obviously correct, or you're going to have problems down the road. Your incoming server is going to look, basically it's going to have this somewhat type of structure. You're going to have mail dot, and most likely it'll be your domain right here, .com or .org or whatever it may be. So make sure you copy and paste this in here. Another one we do, that if you're finding that you want to make it a little bit more consistent across the board, let's say you have multiple email addresses across different domains, you can also use host.620studio.com. That will work as well. So you can either use mail. Whatever your domain is, .com or org, or you can use host.620studio.com. And that you'll use that both for the incoming and outgoing. So those will be identical. So make sure that they're put basically the same. The ports are going to be specific to whether you're going to be using SSL or not. As you can see, secure SSL/TLS setting, it's highly recommended. We don't recommend using non-SSL because it's not encrypted. We always prefer to, if you're going to send emails, it's always good to have at least encrypted and have some security. So as long as you're set up with the SSL settings, and you're using IMAP, between IMAP and POP3, there are differences. I will say if you're using a mobile device, IMAP is most likely going to be the default that's being used. When you set up Outlook, it specifically asks you if you want a POP3 or an IMAP. I think the default is POP3. Hopefully you set up for IMAP. That's kind of become the basics, especially when you're using multiple devices. So you'll change that port from whatever it may be. It may start up as 993, it may say 995. Just go and change that to 993 and make sure that that's set up. Outgoing server is going to be, as we said with before, what the hosting is either your mail dot whatever your domain is or host.620.com, and then make sure the SMTP port, which is the outgoing, is 465. I think it changes depending on what server you're using. For us, it's going to be 465. Make sure that IMAP and POP3 and SMTP do require authentication. Usually, the authentication is going to basically be password. That's, I think, with Outlook and with Apple Mail, they always say password. So make sure you set that for password so it can authenticate for the outgoing, and then make sure that you turn SSL on. There's going to be a little checkbox or a little switch to be able to turn SSL/TLS settings. So make sure that those are turned on. And as long as those information is correct, you should be able to save it. And with Outlook, it'll go ahead and send out a test email, and you should receive that. I believe with the Apple devices, it just does a quick verification, and it shows all the check marks and that sort of thing. If you have any problems with these, just contact us by giving us a call or sending us an email at support@620.com, and we'll kind of walk you through a little bit on there. But these settings that we found that have worked well. The last thing I will say is that if you end up getting away from the screen and you need to go back and check those settings, at the very top right you'll have your email address. When you click up here, you're going to have several settings. You'll have the ability to be able to configure, here's where the configure mail client, this is the exact same settings as before. And then also as well, if you ever need to change your password, this is going to be where you're going to reset your password. Usually when we set up an email for you to begin with, we usually give you a temporary password that's usually it's a lot of numbers, letters, and special characters. And so we always prefer that you go ahead and reset your password. So when you log in, first thing you'll want to do is go up to training, and you'll go down to password and security. And here's where you can add your new password and confirm your new password. Then you'll want to go ahead and at that point go and configure your mail client with your new password here. So like I said, if you have any questions or any problems with the system, by all means, you can contact us by giving us a call, or you can send me an email at support@620.com, and we'll set up a ticket and get it remedied as soon as possible for you.